sandwiches, ice cream, coffee and snacks, and many other pleasing treats. Our foods are fresh and tasty, our drinks satisfying and refreshing. They're so good.
Welcome to Average Joe's Drive-In.
And now, on with the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to Average Joe's Drive-In, episode number 56. I am your host, TJ Washburn, and all the way from the sunny state of California with me today is Jamie Gagnon. How you doing, man?
Doing great, man. How about you?
Oh, not too bad. Enjoying this drizzly, rainy, wet day here in Maine, and I said this is going to be a little bit of a change of pace for you after being out in Cali for a while now.
Yeah, it's interesting being here live and in person this time.
Yeah, so last time Jamie was in California when we did this. So now, he's back up visiting. So he decided to stop in and chat because he's been up to all kinds of cool stuff since the last time I talked with him. So.
Oh, no, nothing new here.
Nothing new at all. No, not at all. So the last time we spoke, you were still working on American Horror Story, or you just got done working on American Horror Story?
I think I was still working on it, yeah.
I think it was getting close to the end of the season.
Right. I think it was
the end of the filming for the season.
Right.
Just before it come out.
Yeah.
So what have you been up to since then?
So after Horror Story got done, I had gotten a couple days here and there. Like I actually started working on Legion soon after that, and the second AD who got me the start on Horror Story had went to that, and she gave me a couple days there. They started liking me there. So I got a couple. I kept getting asked back. Horror Stories group, Ryan Murphy's production company, started doing prep for 911. And in fact, when that got done shooting Horror Story, they shot the next week on 911. So it was
right from one right to the next.
It wasn't the usual case. Usually they have time to plan, and it was such a late addition to their scheduling. Fox ordered a pickup of 10 episodes during the break of Empire in January, so they said we'll make it work. And it's kind of they get a lot. It was a little stressful at first, I guess. I wasn't there for the first couple weeks. I did one day on 911 in maybe mid-October, I think. And then from that point on, I just mostly worked on Legion. And it's weird in Hollywood where you think you're working in this freelance world, and you assume you had really great rapport with these people from Horror Story. You think, oh no, they're not hiring me. Like, did I do something wrong? Did I piss somebody off? And then, no, lo and behold, it's just because they were doing so many other things. They were so busy, and I was doing my own thing anyway. They had asked me a couple times, and it just didn't work out because I was already on Legion. But then it kind of, this weird circumstance happened. They said, oh, we need you to get this airport scene. We need a lot of people for lockups. And so if anyone didn't know, if you didn't hear the last episode, I'm a PA on these shows where I help with the ADs, the assistant directors, and their process of making the production go smoothly. So I'm the eyes, ears, and arms of the AD staff. If they need, the crew to be quiet or make sure no one gets in the shot, whether it be pedestrians or the crew members, we do that. We do paperwork. We deliver paperwork. We, distro, they call it distribution. There's so many things we do. We work with background actors and kind of set them and tell them, cue them and stuff like that. Cue actors, manage first team, which is the actors on screen. Walkie-talkies are a pain in the ass. Everybody hates doing them.
I think I saw you posted a video of you on the walkie-talkie there one time doing something. I thought it was maybe it was a picture. I don't know. I don't remember what that was. It was either a picture or video or something, but I remember seeing you all there was a joke with it or something.
Oh yeah, that was on a day in Legion. It was a desert day in Palmdale. That was a pretty interesting time. But yeah, this whole PA thing, I was doing a lot of work with Legion, and then somebody asked me, another AD I'd worked with on Horror Story. She's like, oh, we're doing reshoots for that movie Rampage. First she said we're doing movie reshoots. And I'm like, I'd love to work on a movie, but they already asked me to work this airport day in 911. But they were tentative about it, like just soft hold for us Friday. So I got back with that AD. I'm like, hey, so you guys still need me Friday? I have this other gig. They're asking me to work Thursday and Friday, which would, anything 2 days is better than 1 day pay.
Oh yeah.
And it took her a while to get back to me. By the time she did, I'm like, oh yeah, we need you Friday. I'm like, okay, that's good to know. I went back to the other AD and said, hey, could I possibly just work Thursday? Like, I really want to work on a movie. Again, I jumped the gun, but I did not know what it was at the first time.
Yeah.
And then, well, we already found somebody, but thank you. And I was like, out of curiosity, what was it? And she's like, yeah, Rampage with Dwayne Johnson. And like the scheduling made it work, so he had a couple days to shoot with us. I'm like, man, that'd been so cool to work with Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
So,
who is on a tear this year, by the way? He's got 3 or 4 movies coming out just like this summer, between spring and the end of the summer. He's got Skyscraper.
Well, yeah, Rampage just came out. Skyscraper. He had just had Jumanji, which made a boatload of money.
I actually watched that. That was really good. That was actually, like, I think the perfect role for him for a film.
Yeah.
I mean, and then he's got like a family drama or something coming out too.
Oh.
I can't remember what that's called.
Right. He does.
Yeah, so he's got a pile of stuff coming out in a very short. That man is an animal when it comes to his work ethic.
Nonstop. I mean,
and he works out like 5 hours a day on top of work. You want some inspiration? Go to Dwayne Johnson's Instagram page, and you will feel bad about your life, even if you are the most busy person on the planet. Because he's like, yeah, I just got off a 12-hour flight from Tokyo, hit the gym for 3 hours before I start my day. It's just like, yeah, I just got up and had toast.
He must be able to sleep in planes because I have a hard time. But so I was really bummed because, like, I've always wanted to work in movies more than TV, and so I figured that would be eventually the next step in this progression. And then B, the fact that it's Dwayne Johnson. I'm not really sure how I'll feel about the movie when I see it, if I see it, but it seems like I kind of had an ancillary relationship with that game when I was younger in the 90s. So
I spent a lot of money at the arcade on that game when I was a kid. When I was like, probably, between like the ages of like 7 and 12, my dad was in a Thursday night bowling league.
Nice.
So like once a month, I would go bowling with Dad, partially because we'd bowl a few strings beforehand, but mainly because they had a huge selection of arcade games, and while he was bowling and doing his league thing, I would blow $10 or $15 on quarters on video games.
Damn.
And just play whatever I wanted, and Bad Dudes and Rampage and Gauntlet and Altered Beast and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Playing that on the old arcade style stuff.
And from what I've heard, the majority of those games were better on the arcade. Their console ports weren't as good.
No,
like Altered Beast was terrible.
They were very clunky.
Yeah.
On Genesis. I do actually have Golden Axe and a couple of those on my Genesis emulator on Steam.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool.
Because you can purchase them for like $1 on Steam.
Not bad.
They put out packs. You can get like the packs for like $5, and there'll be like 10 games, and it's all like Genesis era classics.
That's cool.
It's pretty fun to go back and play those once in a while. They actually have some of the RPGs from that time.
Phantasy Star and
Phantasy Star. I have Landstalker, which was one of my favorites on the Genesis for an RPG. But they had Shining Force 2, which is like one of my all-time favorite RPGs. So I beat that probably like 10 times, and I never owned it. I used to just run it constantly from the...
Yeah.
Because it was one of those RPGs that you could beat in like a couple days, no problem.
Okay.
It was kind of a shorter RPG, because it was kind of like a dungeon crawl, like a Diablo type deal, but shorter and not as good a graphics. So,
okay, yeah.
That sort of thing. But it had like the pop-up style fighting like on Phantasy Star and Final Fantasy.
Okay.
So it was a fun as hell game. I just remember loving that. I would pop that on and like listen to like Biohazard and Slayer and whatever else I was listening, Metallica and Iron Maiden, and that's what I would do. I'd sit there and play that stuff and play RPGs all the time.
I used to do the same with Dark Cloud on the PS1 and 2. I'd play like ad nauseum, just play like the same 2 albums too, the same like Incubus, Morning View, and then Tool, Lateral Alice, that time of the year, and just play them nonstop and grind levels and dungeons.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I used to, even before that, like back during like the Legend of Zelda days and stuff, I would. My sister got a copy of Appetite for Destruction for Christmas one year, so she didn't listen to it a lot. So I used to steal it all the time from her, and that's what I would play while I was playing Zelda. The original Zelda on Nintendo.
Yeah.
I'd play that and pop in, I'd pop in Appetite for Destruction and just constantly flip that, and I would steal her Twisted Sister Stay Hungry tape.
I never listened to that one.
I'm dating myself here by cassette tapes of Twisted Sister and Guns N' Roses, but yeah.
God. Trying to think of a good segue for that.
So yeah, we were talking about you've been bouncing around a lot on different projects. And
so luckily, I guess it worked out in a way because I missed that opportunity on Rampage, but then that first day back, my second day ever in 911, because I worked that one day before, it kept getting me more work. So I ended up working like 3 to 5 to 6 days a week on the show. So normally there are 3 to 4 staffed PAs that are there. Every day they're shooting. Yeah, they can get some time off if they need it or whatever. But most times that they're like the staff. So for 3 to however long it takes, 6, 7 months that you're on the show. So you have like a security of a job. Because when you don't have it, it sucks.
Right.
And so, luckily this day, the second day of 911 at the airport gave me a lot of days with them. And when it's like this staff, this consistent work, I'm able to, not have to, like I drove a lot of Lyft and Uber before that just to make money, make ends meet. And I didn't have to worry about that as much anymore. So I'd have days off. Like, if I work 3 days, I'd have the rest of the week to write on my other stuff. And, but then 911 kept asking me, and usually, so there's always additional day players for like external locations that need a lot of like lockups, they call it. And they like me so much because I worked with almost everybody on Horror Story, and then I just became like this permanent additional day player. So even some days they didn't. I maybe I like to say they didn't need me, but I think I found my niche in that group.
Yeah.
And I really got to learn the job through this show, like more than any other show before. Because Horror Story was like the first one that was definitely a daunting start. But yeah, I got on the show a lot. Continued through that, and we finished March 10th. I think was the last day. We wrapped, and that was like 10 days before the last episode aired. So we were shooting like right up against our schedule. It was almost like an episode of South Park. It was like turning it around so fast.
Yeah, it was a quick turnaround. You guys have 4 days to do this.
Yeah. It was getting close, and but we made it, and we made it work. And after the second episode aired, we got renewed for a second season. So I'll hopefully be working on that next year. And besides that, after that got done, I worked on a pilot to like 3 days. I was expecting the week before coming out here, I wouldn't have any work. But then I worked on a pilot. A lot of the crew from 911 were there, which was cool. It was kind of like a reunion.
Yeah.
Because it's weird. It's like this. I guess it's the best way to describe it. It's like a postpartum depression when you've done a show. It's already done. It's kind of like you probably feel, the feeling when you're done a script. It's like, oh shit, now I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm writing like crazy. Now I'm done.
Oh yeah, you get it. Because you're working. Anytime that I'm writing a novel, even the first draft of the novel, when you're creating the characters and you're around them and you're with them so much, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to see these characters again for a while until I do my rewrite. And
right.
The way I write, when I'm done my first draft, I put it away for like 3 months. I don't even look at it. So when you go back, it's like, hey, all right, cool. But you're right, you do. You have this like there's like a little weird transition period where it's like you're kind of bummed.
Yeah.
Especially if you really like your characters or, So I can absolutely see that, because you kind of probably get that weird. You're working in such close proximity with these people, and I'm sure you're putting in some long days on those shoots. So
I mean, I think the shortest day I had was 12 hours, and that was like once or twice. It's usually 14 to 17 hour days. I mean, it's It's a long day.
So you're pretty much working and sleeping when you're on shoots. Yeah.
Which sucks. I mean, in a way, because when I'm so fortunate and thankful to be like working like on the show so much, but some days I just want to have a day off and write. But that means that the days I do have off, I take much more advantage of instead of just like sleeping in or whatever. I try to get up and enjoy the day.
It's a time management. It's
right.
a time management thing.
Yeah, very very much so. And I've never been much of a time management person.
It's for I never was until I got into my probably like when I started doing a lot of band stuff and booking shows and doing all that stuff is when I found myself managing time better, because I was like, okay, we've got we can do this show here, and then we got another show offer here for the next day. So we could still go to this, and everybody could still get home that has to work the next day and whatever, and we could still make that show. Or so that, and then when I started booking shows and just trying to, look at it, scheduling when bands were playing in this band's playing within 4 weeks of this show, so I'm not going to put them on this bill because they're not going to have as strong of a draw, or it's just learning. But the time management skills come into that, because then I started getting more organized with how I was proceeding with putting things together. So now, like, I have friends laugh when I'm booking, when I book stuff for the podcast. I'm basically booked to the end of May right now.
Nice.
With I book anywhere usually between 5 and 8 weeks out.
That's great.
Just because I don't want to run into the situation of who am I going to have next week?
Right.
Who's going to come up? Because it's trying to make sure everybody can do it. And I know I'm the type of person, I hate having shit sprung on me at the last minute. Yeah. Because it's like I always feel like it throws me off. This is the type of person I am. It throws me off. I like having, all right, I have this schedule. These are when these people are going to be on. Yeah. And then, most of the time I try to get a hold of the guest or whoever at least a week in advance, and stuff. I realize stuff comes up. Sometimes, things happen. And so, but that gives me a little bit of leeway so I can say, well, shit, I just had a cancellation, but maybe this person has asked me about being on the show.
Yeah, maybe they're free.
Hey, I've got a free spot open, because a lot of times, even when I'm booking that far out in advance, it's hard for some people to, because that's either they work afternoons or nights, or they have long days or whatever. So sometimes, it doesn't work out. Sometimes certain people, it's easier to get them spur of the moment than it is way out in advance. Yeah. So I can see where, having those long days like that. And I also used to work, I used to work a job where I worked 12 hours a day plus my commute back and forth. Mm-hmm. So I had to really kind of pay attention to my free time and what I was doing.
Yeah. And part of that it's funny you say that, because my free time I thought I'd have the week before traveling was filled up with this pilot, but then the pilot was going to be the rest of the week. I'm like, oh great, I worked the rest of the week and go to my trip. But then somebody called me like, oh, I heard somebody recommended you from 911. I need a PA for like walkies and stuff for a movie reshoot. I'm like, oh shit, a movie, like exciting! Like I finally get to do a movie. And like, so it was like Friday, Saturday, and Monday, and then I have a prep day Thursday. So I had to not work Thursday, Friday. And the second AD who was on the pilot was super cool. He's like, yeah, go for it, man. Like, we have other people we can get a hold of. And I'm like, great, good. Because last time I didn't take that opportunity, and I felt like I lost out. Right. So I asked this other AD who asked me, like, so what is the movie? I'm like, oh, it's reshoots for Skyscraper. I'm like, holy shit, The Rock.
There's some weird, karma going around there.
Yeah, it's like, my God, what goes around comes around. So I got to work with The Rock, and it was really weird and bizarre. You don't really talk to him much. He's a cool guy. He's really nice, but he has this posse on set to prevent a lot of people from distracting from his work. So he has like 3 or 4 security guards and a couple
which I can understand. I mean, he's honestly right now, he's got to be the biggest action star out there.
Hands down.
I mean, and not just action star, but he's got to be one of the most recognizable people on the planet at this point in time.
He makes so much money for like international markets now. Everybody knows him.
Oh yeah, I mean, what Jumanji did almost $1 billion.
I think it just crossed $1 billion.
That's nuts. I
Yeah,
mean, that's
never
like
expected that.
that's Marvel movie money, which there's not a lot of film franchises that cross $1 billion. I don't even think either one of the last two Star Wars did $1 billion. Did they? Maybe Force Awakens.
Oh, they both did. Force Awakens did almost $2 billion worldwide.
Holy cow! Wow,
and then somehow, as much as you don't really realize it, but the second one, or I should say, the second one, the eighth one, Jedi did over $1 billion, but in a slower pace, like because Jumanji kept going and then surpassed Star Wars, but Star Wars kept earning money.
Yeah, and I know didn't Black Panther just cross $1 billion?
Yeah, and that was one of the quickest ever.
Yeah, I still haven't had a chance to go see that. I ended up going to see Annihilation. It was a choice between Annihilation and Black Panther, and it was Black Panther had just come out, and I'm like, the theater's probably going to be packed, and it's probably going to be a shitty experience because it's like afternoon, and I generally don't have good experiences with those types of movies in the afternoon because all the kids are there, and it's just annoying, and so we ended up going to see Annihilation, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah, we should talk about that. But I'm looking at the end. So, Jumanji didn't cross $1 billion, unfortunately.
I knew it was
close, 9:45.
It was pretty close. I heard him on something, but I'm sure that's theater stuff. So you're talking, I'm sure with Reynolds and all that stuff, that's going to make probably another $1 billion anyway.
Oh, no, a lot more than that. Yeah, for sure. I mean,
that's just an insane amount. That's an insane amount of money, though, for when you're talking movie numbers.
This doesn't make any sense to me. Like, it's just it's such a crazy number. Like San Andreas, for example, only made $473 million worldwide, which is pretty good for any movie.
Right.
But then his star power has just jumped. Like all the Fast and Furious movies he's been in since 5 have been over almost all of them, I think, $1 billion or more.
Well, and it's weird to say because he has been such a film staple for such a long time now.
Yeah.
I mean, you really, honestly, you're talking, 15, 16 years now?
Yep.
That he's been kind of, since the Rundown.
17 since Mummy Returns. That's when his first movie was.
Yeah, so that was 2001.
2001, yeah.
Yeah. So he's been in the public eye film-wise for a long time, but I think Jumanji really put him over the top as far as... I mean, the Furious movies, yes, that gave... that was a big deal, but I think he was part of a bigger ensemble for those. With Jumanji, he's the lead in that, and that's... I think that right there made people go, holy shit, And I think, like I said... I think Jumanji was the perfect type of role for him. Good comedy, because he can pull off action comedy.
Yep.
Very well. He's one of the best, I think, out there at doing that.
Mm-hmm.
He's because he's such a charismatic guy, and that just plays off so well. And he's funny. I remember seeing him on Saturday Night Live years ago.
Oh my God, the wrestling sketches.
Oh my God, Mr. Peepers and
Peepers too.
Mr. Peepers and just. He killed me on that, and I was like, this dude could be a great actor, because he really wasn't acting at that point. It was just, he was on there.
Do you remember that wrestling sketch where it was like him and Bobby Moynihan are like doing wrestling promos, and Taron Killam was the announcer, like Mean Gene used to be in the middle?
I don't remember that one, no.
Holy shit. Not to spoil him, you should look him up. There's a couple of them, because he came back and did it again. But
Mr. Peepers was the one I remembered the most from him and Chris Kattan doing that.
Oh, God.
Mr. Peepers just killed me.
Like the wrestling ones were kind of new, and it was like trying to rally each other up. Like, I'm gonna break you in half, man. Like I was like he's like Boneyard or something, like Moynihan. And The Rock plays this really like he has like a blonde like pompadour and a blonde mustache, and he's like it's like talking about catfishing him and like online, and like that picture is of your daughter, like and that's what I'm cooking. Like he kind of makes fun of his like catchphrases. It's worth you should look it up. It's so
I'll have to try to track that down,
but it's been great.
So yeah,
Watching
that's kind of a cool journey though, man. You've just been progressively getting more and more stuff and working on more things. And so how is the writing coming along though, as far as what little bit time you've had to work on?
It's been slower than I expected. I mean, again, I've been working a lot. So at the end, my goal was to finish my first draft of my book end of last year, so the 31st, and then I'm still working on it. I'm almost done though. I'm on chapter 107 of about 120, I think. And it's weird because when I start rewriting, it's going to be a whole different thing. I mean, as it usually is. But,
your first draft is you're laying the foundation. Your second draft is flushing everything out.
Mm-hmm.
Your third draft is also flushing things out and finishing, tightening everything up, and kind of your first edits as far as really depending on how you edit.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of times with me, I generally don't do more than 2 edits. I do usually my initial draft, 2 edits, and then I usually send it out to my beta readers to look it over. But I mean, I have just gotten to the point of figuring that out in my last couple releases. So it makes a big difference in just how when I first started. As soon as I was done writing, I would turn right around and start editing, which was the worst mistake I ever made, because you're still so tuned into everything that's happened, you overlook so much.
Yeah, and you don't want to cut anything because you're still like fresh, it's still fresh in your mind, it's still your baby.
So I was reading a great novel by. There's this little writer. You guys might have heard of him. His name's Stephen King. He's written a few things.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I think he lives in Bangor.
Where's that?
Bangor?
Bangor?
Bangor.
I love that.
That kills me every time
Drives
I
me
hear anybody
nuts.
say that. Drives me nuts. Just so if you come to Maine, please don't ever say that. So he wrote this great book. It's called On Writing.
Yeah, I have it with me.
And so good. Anyway, but that's one of the things he talks about. He's like, put your manuscript away for like 3 months, 6 months, whatever. Don't look at it. Don't think about it. Work on something else.
Yeah.
So when you go back to that, you're looking at it with a fresh set of eyes.
Yeah.
So after I read that, the project that I was working on, that's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went through, I was like, holy shit, this is the most brilliant thing ever. Because there was so many things, not even just like, grammatical stuff or anything like that, but things that didn't flow together well, that weren't, it's like, because you're reading it in a whole different perspective, because I don't care what anybody says, when you go away from something for that long of a period of time, you forget stuff that you did. I mean,
which is the idea.
That's part of the reason of doing it that way. So you're looking at it more from a reader's perspective than a writer's perspective. So it was such a big difference, because it's like, or you see little nuances that you want to expand upon, to flesh your characters out more. And I was just like, that is the greatest piece of advice I have ever gotten as far as a writer, come from that thing right there. So, yeah, that's definitely what. So usually that's what I do now. I'll do my first draft, let it sit for like 3 months is generally what I do. And then I'll do an edit. If I'm happy with the edit and I think I kind of got it, because it varies from project to project.
Right.
Some projects you're like, man, I nailed it. Other projects are like, that needs more work, So, if I think I nailed it, I'll send it out to my beta readers. If I don't, I'll do one more quick edit through and just try to fine tune anything else I might see or notice. Or a lot of times you'll go through and then you'll start thinking as you get further into the book or whatever, you'll be like, I need to go back and that part there in the beginning now, I need to do something different because it's kind of similar to this scene here and it doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense in the con. So I either need to change the one at the beginning to make this one work or alter this one, or, there's little stuff like that. You start getting into that fine tune. Now I have other writer friends that do, like 7 or 8 edits. It
whatever works. Yeah. To make it the best.
You got to find what you're comfortable with is what it amounts to. And it also depends on the type of writer you are and what you're writing. And my last book was a nonfiction book. So it was, was,
it's different.
That was very different editing compared to because I didn't want to change stuff. I wanted it to be what my raw thoughts were.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I went through and did editing was grammar stuff, and just fixing that, maybe a few formatting things. But outside of that, I wanted to keep it raw. I was like, even if it sounds kind of dumb, that's what I was thinking at the time, because...
Well, that's what the book is about, like your thoughts.
Yeah, it's Confessions of a Boring White Guy, and it's available on Amazon.com. You can get it in paperback or Kindle format. And remember, anytime you buy a copy of Confessions of a Boring White Guy or any of my other novels or short stories on Amazon, I put that money back into the show. Also, if you have Kindle Unlimited or Amazon Prime, you can read the Kindle books for free, and I get paid by the number of pages you read.
For real?
So it doesn't cost you a damn thing, and I get money.
That's great. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you have to sign up for it as an author to be part of that program, but hey, why not? There's a lot of people with Kindle Unlimited and Prime. So, and if you really like the book after you read it, maybe go buy the other ones. Hey, I'm the poor starving artist. I appreciate that, but it helps out the show. But yeah, so if you're curious about the book, Jamie and I are talking about, that is my latest release, Confessions of a Boring White Guy. It's not horror. It's not sci-fi. Well, it might be considered horror once you read it, but it's basically just my thoughts over like a 3-month period, and it's very random. There's some funny stuff in there. There's some poems in there. There's some song lyrics in there. There's some thoughtful stuff on there. One of my friends passed away shortly before I started working on that. As a matter of fact, I think it might have been during, and there's a piece about him that I wrote in there, and there's a lot of different stuff, so it's just random thoughts, but I hope like people that read it will connect with what I'm talking about, because it's just what I was feeling, or maybe you'll hate it, maybe you'll think it's funny, I don't know, but give it a shot and check it out. Like I said, you can get that in Kindle or paperback format. Now back to Jamie.
I can't wait to be at that point in this book, because I was going to mention this earlier when you talk about the editing process, that mine is a nonfiction. It's about my battle with cancer, which started in a weird way. This book was just like, I'll write a couple chapters of my blog and call it good. GuyOnAWire.com, by the way.
That's right.
plug.
No problem with self-promotion.
Yeah. So, and then it quickly evolved into, okay, I need to write this not only for, I can't think of the word. Posterity's sake. Yes, thank you. I'm not mentally here today.
I hear you.
Not only for posterity's sake, but to be like a kind of a surrogate, like a vicarious visitor for people who may want to have visitors during their treatments or their family's treatments, or to have that perspective from somebody who's made it out. Because I had that person when I was in the hospital, and I talk about him, of course. But even so, my book continued to evolve, which is why I'm really excited to go back to it. But I'm going to give myself time. When it's more about taking that second chance or just living life to the fullest. And it sounds stupid. It sounds like cliche, but a lot of people don't do that. And I dawdled for like a good decade before I actually, got off my ass and actually went after my dreams. But it's paid off. I lucked out. I'm such a happier person now. I'm not depressed as much as I used to be. I'm not as even if I'm more broke than ever, a lot of times I'm somehow more happier than ever.
Hey, the old saying goes, money doesn't buy happiness. It does help, but make things more secure.
Yeah.
That's one of those catch-22 things you so often hear people talking about. Money doesn't buy happiness, but it's like, well, it doesn't, but having a steady income also helps alleviate some of the anxiety and stress of things.
Exactly.
When you're not worried about where you're next, whether you can pay your light bill or, or if you're going to lose your place that you're living in, or, my car's, I'm one car repair away from not having a job. Or,
oh God, yeah.
I've been there a very long time. I've worked since I was 12 years old. I started, my family had a business, and I started working. I've just in the last couple of years gotten to a spot where I'm not just terrified of, everything and anything. Am I financially secure? Not at all. But I'm in a lot better place, but it's taken a long time to get there. So, when people talk about the whole money doesn't buy happiness, may not buy happiness, but it does buy security. As far as mental security is a huge thing,
That's definitely the biggest thing for me. Is like when I have those weeks where I don't have to worry about driving Lyft at all, but then also not, okay, I don't have to work this day, or I don't have to try to find another way to get money. I can just kind of take this day and actually enjoy it and write. That's really helpful. And so the book is about, it goes up into the point where I move. Actually, I think I'm gonna end it where I get my job at American Horror Story.
That's kind of, because that was kind of your first. Yeah, that was your first real success, really.
Yeah. But the rewrite process, I've already like planned like in my head, like, I recorded this stuff on my recorder, then I leave it to be, like, so I go back and like, these are the rewrite notes I wanted to do when I was writing it, so I can kind of pick up and get quicker.
That's a good idea. My problem is when I write, I am so focused on whatever, because, and this is another writer thing that varies from writer to writer, I am very much a stream of conscious writer. I don't like to have a lot of notes and a lot of stuff planned out. I have a general idea of what I want to do, and then I just kind of let it develop as it goes. That's just the way I write. Now, I have other friends that have every single little minute detail mapped out.
Yeah.
Other than the actual fleshing everything out on the page. But I mean, as far as the basics of the story go, everything from chapter to chapter is mapped out.
Right.
And that works for them. I can't write like that, because what happens when I try to do that, I get so wrapped up in the stupid stuff that I shouldn't be paying attention to, instead of just writing what if I write down, well, Johnny's got green hair and one leg that's shorter than the other, I just, you know what I mean? I can't make any improvements to those characters, because I get stuck on that's how the character is. It's one of those stupid, weird, quirky things that, every writer's got them, but I'm better at stream of conscious writing and then going back and adjusting after I've gotten it out, because I'm also one of these people, if I don't get it out when I've got it in my head, I lose it.
Yep.
So that's why anytime I have a story idea, I write it down and I have a little folder, and all my story ideas go into the folder. I've gone back to that many times and looked at something I wrote down 5 years ago and be like, that's a cool idea, but now I have more ideas that I can add on to it, or boy, that's a really stupid idea. What the hell was I thinking? I get more of those than, hey, that's awesome, type deal.
I mean, I like the audio version of it. I've had a sound recorder in my pocket since almost 10 years ago, 2009. This is only the second one ever. Somehow I've just survived two. But I mean, like I tie it to a Wii remote strap, and I have it on me at all times if I ever want to write anything down. I mean, the dictation process, like transcribing them to a file somewhere is a pain in the ass. But it's easier to me just recording and forget about it, and then I can work on the next thing, or if I have multiple thoughts at once, and I have like a lot of like clips that are 30 seconds long just to add on to something else. Like, oh yeah, this is like, I make like code names for each movie and project I'm working on, and but
I could see that especially being valuable for when you get ready to shoot something and you're working on a script, especially because all of a sudden you're out walking and be like, holy shit, I just got an idea for Danny's character. Danny's walking down the street, he looks off to his left, he sees this, blah 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 blah, which may not be something you remember even 10 minutes after that. So I could see that being a really cool idea, Exterior, park, day, doing the whole thing. You can almost do the whole scene right there and get what you're thinking of. That's actually a really good idea for that sort of thing.
But it's weird. I haven't written a new script since last January, 2017, and I haven't rewritten one since April. I've been working on this book so much and then working that once I'm done this first draft, I'm going to go into a new script. I've been preparing to do one, like this quirky, end of the world, coming of age movie. I just miss it. It's a whole different type of writing.
I'm not a script writer. I mean, I've written scripts, and I enjoy writing them, but I don't at the same time. I like coming up with the story part of it. I don't like writing scripts because the way they're formatted, and it just feels very informal to me, which is fine. But I actually just went back and rewrote a script that I wrote like 15 years ago.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and I always loved the idea, and it's a lot of my old scripts, shorts and stuff that I wrote back when I really wasn't writing or anything. I actually turned into short stories in my first short story collection, The Legend of North Lake. All but 2 of those stories were from scripts that I had written. The Legend of North Lake was a script. Teenage Zombies in Love was a script, and Uni was a script that I had written.
No kidding.
So yeah, they were all, and I have the scripts. The dialogue was greatly improved upon because when I wrote those, the dialogue was atrocious. But the basic ideas were there. So the short that I'm working on, I'm really hoping to film it this summer. I've actually been started storyboarding a little bit, and my storyboarding is horrible. It's stick figures, but it gives you an idea.
Gets the point across.
It's storyboarding with little notes, just because I am not I can sort of film, but I'm not a camera guy as far as knowing all the ins and outs and in the jargon and the lingo. So I just, I want a wide shot here, and please zoom in on this person's face type thing. Or, this is a hallway shot that I want the length of the hallway. Or, I'm not good with the technical terminology stuff as far as that goes. But so I'm hoping to work on that. And looks like Chum is going to start shooting in another month or so. I'm not sure if I'm even supposed to be saying when it's going to start, but it's supposed to be in the next few months. It's going to be shooting, so
cool, good.
I get to go down and do my cameo and work on I'm going to help out a little bit on the set when I can get down there.
Nice.
So
that's not a feature, is it?
No, it's just a singular short as far as I know. It might be part of something a little bigger, but I'm not 100% sure on that yet.
Do you have what's your page count for that? Like 20 something?
Oh boy, I didn't write the script.
I thought you wrote it though.
I wrote the story.
Oh, story,
it was based on a story in one of my short story collections, Into Darkness, which you can find on Amazon.com. So it was based on a short that I wrote that was in my anthology Into Darkness, and Shane Grant, his producer George Quinn read it and really liked it, and they developed it and turned it into a script. And Shane sent me the script, and it was cool because Shane sent me the script and asked for my input if there was stuff I thought should be added, or because it's a very narrative story in the way that I wrote it, which doesn't necessarily translate well to the visual medium. Mm-hmm. So he had to change, add and change a few little things to make it work a little better so people wouldn't just be super confused. And he added a few scenes and characters that aren't in it. And I think it's, between 15 and 20 pages.
That's not bad.
Right around
good.
there.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a good shoot. Ron Young is all set to come up, and he's going to be playing the Freddie Ricker, the lead in it. He if any of you have seen The Witch, he's in that. He's got a part in The Witch. I think it's during the trial sequence.
Nice.
He has a scene in there, so he's been in a few things. So
very cool. Yeah,
so he's going to be there, and I get a cameo, so I get to do some screen time. And I actually just went down a couple weekends ago and did a remember the guy's name now, the Behind the Actor Studio.
Oh my God.
Not Leonard Maltin. Good.
James Lipton.
James Lipton, yes. Yeah. I got to do kind of a James Lipton Masterpiece Theater kind of introduction thing for the behind the scenes interview section of the Blu-ray.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun because I got to do my Average Joe's Drive-In voice and persona kind of, which isn't that much different from the real me. I'm just a lot more boisterous and plucky. So
I love the word plucky.
Plucky. It's like plethora. Those are words that I like, that I try to throw in whenever possible. I laugh because a friend of mine who's also a writer, Jeremy Flagg, I had sent him a short story and I used the word plethora, and he's like, "That's so awesome." He's like, because an English teacher that was at our school used to use that word a lot. So
cool.
He's like, "I've always loved that word." I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "Me too." So I throw it in as much as possible, whenever I can, without getting it to be super annoying that I'm using plethora constantly.
One of my favorites are myriad.
Myriad.
It's
myriad of.
Well, it's important to use it right. Like, that's what I learned. Like, you would say, if you say let's say there's a multiple children, myriad children, you don't say a myriad. And like, I didn't know that at first.
It's a
myriad. It's
myriad of children.
It doesn't need an article. It's just the myriad. Yeah.
Myriad of children, not a myriad.
Because myriad essentially means a multitude of.
Yes.
So the A's in there. It's like saying ATM machine. You don't need to say machine.
Yeah.
People do. But yeah. So like, I love shit like that. Like,
weird little things.
Yeah, just words you want to just hear more of.
Yeah. Cornucopia, triskaidekaphobia. Those are words.
Ooh, number 13.
Yes. See, you know how many people I said that to, and they have no clue what triskaidekaphobia means.
I think I learned that from my years watching the 13 Days of Halloween. They would have, you know what the fear of number 13
I've
is?
always wanted. I have always wanted to. I'm gonna do it. I think this year actually. I've always wanted to write a Halloween short story and put it out for Halloween, like free up on my blog or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was actually thinking of calling it triskaidekaphobia. I'm just trying
great.
to figure out what exactly it's going to be about, because I don't want it to be too cliche. With obviously it's the fear of the number 13. So, but there's going to be some ways to kind of, screw around with that whole thing. And I want to do it in an inconspicuous way that you kind of have to really pay attention to what's going on type.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be blatantly obvious in your face. It's like little weird things.
Like there are 13 candles lit. Like, yeah.
He uses the word plethora 13 times throughout the story.
That'd be funny, yeah.
Holy shit. Something stupidly weird like that, kind of almost like an Easter egg thing.
Yeah.
I don't know why the hell does he call the story this?
Yeah.
There's nothing to do with 13 in this. And then you go back, and somebody's like, "Oh, by the way, there's 13 letters in this character's name. There's blah, blah,
that'd be great. Yeah, little stuff like that.
Copyright Thomas Washburn Jr., April 4th, 2018. So if you steal that idea, I want residuals, damn it.
But it's also like the number 23. Like, he gets obsessed with this number, which I haven't seen yet.
That's actually not a bad film.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people kind of shit on it. I don't think it's a really highly regarded film. I enjoyed it for what it was. It's not, it's kind of obvious in a lot of the things that's going on with it. You know what I mean? I think it's trying to be one of those, I'm going to catch you off guard, shock you type thing. It doesn't really quite work like that, but it's still a pretty decent film. I mean, it's far from.
It's Joel Schumacher, so it can't be that.
And Jim Carrey's really good at it, actually.
Jim Carrey's always good. My favorite movie of his now, it's kind of always been like one of my favorites, but as I've grown older, I appreciate his serious stuff more. The Truman Show.
Oh, that's such a good movie.
Fucking amazing.
Such a good. There's a movie out on Netflix that I haven't seen yet that I heard he's actually really good in, called The Bad Batch.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. I guess he doesn't even have any speaking parts in it. He's just silent the whole time. He's
an amazing. Yeah, he's really good in that. That's an interesting movie. It's like a post-apocalyptic, like almost a near silent western. It's kind of like very minimal dialogue and really cool idea.
And it's loaded though. The cast is like Jason Momoa's in it, correct?
Yep.
And Jim Carrey, and who was the other?
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves is in it. And yeah, I mean, I was looking at the actors. I was like, man, there's some good actors in this. I was like, I kind of want to check this out at some point.
So I haven't seen her first film, but it was directed by Anna Lily Amapour, and she did A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night,
which I have heard very mixed things about.
I heard it's really good.
I've heard it's really good, but I've also heard it's very pretentious and boring.
Oh,
so
okay.
which I can kind of see. That title kind of does scream pretentious and boring to me in one hand, but on the other hand, it looks kind of cool. So I'll watch it eventually. I am like, I don't know about you, but I am absolutely horrible about keeping up with new release stuff. I don't see most new releases till 6 to 9 months after they're out, if I'm lucky.
I don't have a lot of time lately to watch anything, so.
Everybody always asks, they're like, dude, how do you find time to like watch all the movies you do a podcast, write and do all this stuff? It's like, one, I don't have television at all.
Mm-hmm.
So when I sit down to watch something, I sit down and watch a movie. That's what I do to relax at the end of the night.
Right.
Throw on a movie.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I really watch TV-wise is hockey and football.
Okay, yeah.
And so that's only on a couple times a week,
Yeah.
The rest of the time I throw on movies. That's what I do movies are my enjoyment. That's what I do to unwind. And, I do play video games, but I'm not as diehard of a gamer as I used to be. It's more sporadic now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I do stuff. Everybody's like, man, you always have like 1,900 different little things going on. It's just like, I like to stay busy. I really do. Even if it's not doing like out and about running around, I always am doing something, So.
I worked with that director on the second episode of Legion.
Oh, cool.
So she did an episode and a couple other.
Because that's the thing I don't think most people realize with a lot of TV shows is there's a different director for every episode.
Most times, yeah.
Most of the
time.
I
mean,
sometimes if you have an arc or something, you might have a director in for 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah. The showrunners, are the people who run the show. The directors are usually like day playing on that one episode, unless they're like for returning directors, like for Horror Story and 911, and a lot of things actually that Ryan Murphy does. He uses Brad Beaker, who's one of his like go-to. He's also an EP too.
Yeah,
he's one of the go-to directors, and he'll return. Like I think he did 3 episodes in 911 this season. But yeah, so Legion has a couple of cool ones. It had Charlie McDowell. Did you see The Discovery? It was on Netflix. It came out last March. It was
think so.
Only on Netflix.
No, I don't think so.
Great film, and he directed an episode of Legion. But this film was just like you probably saw the preview for it. It was they scientifically proven an afterlife.
I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
So everybody starts like killing themselves.
I actually forgot about that. I'm glad you reminded me because I was like, that is a really cool premise. I was like, that could be a really interesting film.
Well, a lot of people didn't like it, but I loved that kind of world building, and then the movie goes in an interesting direction, and I'm glad it went that way. I mean, I think a lot of people were expecting something else to happen.
Yeah,
kind of like Annihilation, like
that movie.
Without spoilers,
that movie is. It's and I didn't even put the association with this until just recently because I saw an article, but they were saying how Lovecraftian that film is, and I'm like, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
But when I reviewed it, like I said to people, don't go in expecting aliens or a very action-packed type of sci-fi film. It's very much what I call hard science fiction.
Yes.
Where there's actual science involved in it, not just we're on a spaceship in space and there's aliens. But I really liked the way that it was such a slow burn film, and it just the things, a couple of things I really liked about it was the use of sound in that film was phenomenal.
Yeah. That fucking bear.
Oh, that's
one of the most disturbing scenes ever.
When you figure out what the hell it is, it's just like, oh, that's creepy.
Yeah.
That's like nightmare-inducing creepy.
Yes.
And the way the music complements, because the music isn't like your traditional. It is your traditional score, but some of it isn't.
Yeah.
It's very weird. It's hard to describe it. You have to kind of watch it to understand it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's such a beautiful film, the way it's shot too, and I thought all the acting was really, really, really solid in it.
Yep.
And it's just, but it's such a weird, different film. And when I got done with it, I was like, man, I didn't like the ending when I saw it. I was like, it feels incomplete. I don't understand this. This is such a weird ending. And as we were leaving the theater, Cassandra was like, oh, apparently this is part of like a series, and so there's probably gonna be another couple films.
Is it?
Yes.
Like,
apparently it's either a trilogy or a series
of Alex Garland films or something else.
No, that was based on a book.
Oh, gotcha.
So there's actually a bunch of books about this. So
right.
I'm guessing they were setting up a sequel, because that's kind of what it felt like to me. It's like, all right, It seems like they're setting up another film. By the way, I don't want to spoil it. But when you watch it, I think most people that would watch it, that's the first thing I thought of is, this is a weird way to end a film, or they're going to make a sequel.
Yeah.
Or they're at least leaving it open for a sequel if it does well.
I thought it was kind of a cliche ending, and then that makes more sense that it would be a...
And that kind of changed my perspective on how the ending went, because I'm like, if this is actually going to be multiple films, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that's a good arc. Yeah,
that's a good arc. Yeah. Good transition point to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, that's guys, like, that makes way more sense. I like this movie because I liked it, but I was like, that ending was just kind of like, ooh, you just ruined that slow burn, and then it's like, but then knowing that, it's like, oh, that makes way more sense.
Yeah,
then, So, excuse me. I am currently slogging through Valerian in the City of a Thousand Planets.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, this is one of the most boring films I have ever seen in my life.
Wow.
I don't... It is absolutely gorgeous to look at.
Yeah.
The effects are... But story-wise, holy shit. It's like watching paint dry.
Yeah, I heard about that. Visually, it was great. Everything else was kind of like,
It's just... It doesn't feel like it's going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't. And I'm an hour and 10 minutes into it.
Of 2 hours?
Of 2 hours and 17 minutes. And I'm an hour and 10 minutes into it.
Another hour.
And it feels like I could have just jumped in and started it where I am, and I wouldn't be any worse for the wear.
That's not good.
That's not good. And I loved The Fifth Element.
Yeah.
That's like one of my favorite sci-fi films friggin' ever. So I was very, very, very I'm trying to get all the way through it. It's taken me 4 sittings to get an hour and 10 minutes through it. That's not good.
You just gotta persevere and finish, man.
I watch some really bad movies and can slog through most anything, and I am having a hard time.
That's not good praise at all.
And I would probably still, even if I didn't finish watching it, I'd still give it like probably a 4 out of 10. Just because it's visually such a good movie.
Yeah.
But it's one of those, I keep watching it thinking, there's going to be some payoff. It's going to pick up. Something's going to happen. And I've been saying that for the last 30 minutes.
Sounds like you just watch it on mute. You're good to go.
Probably, yes. It looks good. I'm going to put some words in and start doing some, random dialogue in it.
Yeah. That'd be a fun riff.
Good party thing. So, what if I know you haven't had a lot of time, you said, to do much anything, but have you seen anything cool lately that you...
Annihilation was the last thing I saw in theaters that was new.
Yeah, same with me, actually.
I've been so far behind. I did watch What Happened to Monday. It was a Netflix movie.
Yeah, I've heard good things about that.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, again, great world building. I love sci-fis that can pay off this world and really sell you on it. And it's about these 7 sisters in a world where you can't have more than one kid. And they're hidden most of their lives, and they each take a day of the week, and they're named as such. So Sunday, Monday, to Saturday, and then then one goes missing, and then they keep going through their routine because now they're off their routine. Like, what if there's 2 of them out there, and they have the same ID and everything, like this all like ID tags and stuff. So I'd be interested to see what do you think of it? Because it's definitely something that I didn't expect much going in, and a lot of the Netflix movies have been kind of hit or miss.
Yeah.
Or the ones they've acquired, I should say. I love the Discovery, but a lot of people didn't like it. I had a good time with Cloverfield Paradox.
I liked Cloverfield Paradox, but the majority of my friends that have watched it have been not so much.
I've heard a lot of negative things, but I like it. I just wish that it wasn't. They didn't do the anthology the way I'd hoped.
That movie, if that had not been a Cloverfield movie, I think people would adore it.
Yeah.
Because it's a really good kind of creepy sci-fi film.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. the backwards way they're trying to connect these all together just pissed me off.
Parallel universes, and just all kinds of weird stuff.
Like 10 Cloverfield Lane, I would have preferred that. I got mad at the end. Like, I didn't like it because it was so haphazardly connected to. I'm like, wait, we're jumping the shark now? We're having like the kitchen sink in there too? Because you have this monster, this kaiju, then you have these aliens, like, and then it's like, oh, and then they try backward fixing it in Paradox, but it's just.
Yeah, I loved Cloverfield Lane. That was one of my favorite performances was John Goodman from that year, because John Goodman is just, he's creepy as shit in that movie. So
I would have rather had just the original film be The Cellar, which was the original title, and they had to reshoot the ending and a couple other things to make it tie into Cloverfield, which...
Well, they kind of did that thing, what was it that Blair Witch did back in the day, where it was just the woods or whatever, and then it was...
Oh, yeah.
You know, kind of... at the last minute, by the way, this is actually...
Yeah, Blair Witch, yeah. Which I heard that wasn't good either, that newer Blair Witch.
I didn't care for it.
Yeah.
I saw that. I did see that in the theater. Mm-hmm. I need to rewatch it. It was... For lack of a better term, it was more or less a remake of the first film. Mm-hmm. It really didn't bring a whole hell of a lot of... The reasons they were out there was more of an original, but it was just, I don't know. I didn't find it remotely scary, which, and... Although I guess I really didn't find the first Blair Witch scary, I just thought it was kind of disturbing.
Yeah. More
than scary, like, you know. But yeah, I didn't care for it. I do really want to rewatch it again though, because I'm one of these people, like, unless I absolutely despise something, I like to give it at least a couple chances, because sometimes I'm just not in the right mood for a film, or I'm expecting something different, so I go in, it's like, man, I hated this. This sucked. I don't want to watch it.
Yeah, I would love to have been somebody who didn't know that was fake.
Oh, back
when it came out, yeah,
the original. Yeah, that would be me, sir.
Because man,
and it's not such a big deal for you younger folks out there listening. It's not such a big deal nowadays because that type of thing is the internet's used to hype up films all the time.
Right.
That was the first time I ever remember the internet or anything. And the stuff they did for that film, you know, they filmed that documentary. I think it was something about, it was just called Blair or something. It was about the town and the history. Yeah. They had stuff on Sci-Fi Channel and all this different stuff. And I remember watching that and I'm just like, holy shit, this is creepy. I mean, and then shortly before the movie comes out, all of a sudden, all this stuff starts leaking about, oh no, it's not a real documentary. It was actually a film, and it was filmed by these, and it's like, but I mean, I was like, what a brilliant idea to market a film.
It can never happen now.
No. There's, you know, this was the biggest movie thing we had back at that point in time. I think was like Rotten Tomatoes, and even that wasn't what it is, you know, now. We had the message board stuff, and, you know, we shout out to all my Axis of Very Evil peeps. that we pretty much made them change the way Rotten Tomatoes forums were done because we crashed the forum because our thread is the longest thread in the history of the website, or was.
Holy shit.
Yeah, we crashed it. It was something like
crazy.
1,000 pages long.
Oh my god. Damn.
We all just posted in like that one thread continuously for like 3 years. And that formed a whole group of horror nerds that are still together today.
That's great.
So we've kept in touch over different formats and like message boards, and now we're all on Facebook. We have a group on Facebook, and so we've pretty much managed, the majority of the group has managed to like keep in touch over the years. So
that's crazy.
Cool. Yeah, we're coming up on, I think, on like 18 years this year.
Holy shit.
17 or 18 years, I think, this year. Yeah, it's been a while.
So I feel stupid saying this. I don't think I've ever said this anywhere publicly. I kind of fell for that. Something I'd heard a lot of things about this being a real film, and then so there are things like that. So it was The Fourth Kind. It came out in 2010, I think.
Dude, I didn't know anything about that when I watched it. So I was thinking, because it says in the thing that it's real footage mixed with the actors' footage.
Yeah, they reenacted some of it.
Yeah. So the first time I watched it, I knew nothing about that because that was one of those like random films I stumbled across, and I'm like, oh, Mila Jovovich.
Yeah,
I love her.
Yep.
I'm gonna go watch this film, and I watched that. And next to Bigfoot, aliens probably creep me out the worst out of anything, and I watched that, and I'm just like, holy shit, this is creepy.
Yeah,
that movie like generally like skeeved me out really bad.
I used to smoke a lot of weed then too. So we were watching it, and we were high as shit. And I'm like, I'm like so afraid, like these, like the windows around us were gonna bust open, we're gonna be dead. I mean, it's just so weird. Then I realized, we had looked it up after the fact. Maybe we didn't want to lose the illusion that way.
Yeah.
But we waited till the end of the film. I was like, oh, it's fake.
This was like maybe a month after it came out. I was talking with somebody, and they were like, oh yeah, that's. I was just telling them how freaky it was. I'm like, oh dude, you gotta see this. It's like found, it's like different video footage from all this different stuff, and like dash cams and blah 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 mixed in with it. I said, holy fuck, is this creepy? I was like, and they were like, oh yeah, I heard about that. That was that was just something they used to like market the film. I'm like, son of a bitch. I'm like, but it's still awesome. I still love. Actually, that's one I've been kind of meaning to pick up on Blu-ray and rewatch, because even if it isn't, the way they did that was so effective. It's just creepy.
Yeah, so it really pissed me off. It was good. It was too good. But I guess that was the closest feeling I felt to Blair Witch in '99.
Yeah, that was definitely part of the Blair Witch mania, that whole thing. And you think of what they shot that film for and how much money that movie made.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it was a huge return. It wasn't until Paranormal Activity that it had made so much money based on their budget. Like, Paranormal was the record setter. $15,000 budget, made like $60 million. Yeah. Huge percentage.
Yeah. Because Blair Witch was like, what, 40, 50 million, I think, something like that?
Yeah, which is a lot, especially for an indie film.
It had like a $10,000 budget.
It wasn't much.
It wasn't very much. It was like shot over a weekend for like $10,000. So we're gonna find out. This is the miracle of the interweb. Looking up on your phones and finding out. I know it wasn't much. I want to say it was, maybe it was more than that, but I want to say I heard it was like $10,000.
It made $140 million. Wow. 248 worldwide.
Wow.
Budget $60,000.
That's a pretty good return. So you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars basically on every $100 invested.
I take that back. Paranormal Activity is actually behind it. $107 million.
Wow.
And that was $15,000. So not as much, but it was the biggest since Blair Witch for return.
So that's, and the only thing I ever fault Blair Witch for is it started the whole found footage thing, which has gotten exceedingly annoying.
Yeah.
Because it did the found footage thing right.
Yep.
So many films try to use found footage as a means to an end for a lack of budget or creative ideas. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, we're just going to make a movie about Freddy Krueger that's found footage because we don't have a budget. And so we can just, use, low budget. And I would rather see somebody try to make a legit movie on, not top of the line equipment and actually try to make something than try to do that. Because it just 90% of the time it makes no sense in the scheme of the story.
No. It's crazy. And I look back at them now, like, man, that must suck for PAs, like locking up, like make sure there's no one in the shot, like they have to make, because there's still a crew there, they just have to clear the whole fucking area. It's like, oh, that's a pain in the ass.
Yeah. There's, did you ever see Altered, which he did right after Blair Witch?
No, I did not.
You definitely need to watch that. That's a very underrated movie. Aliens, and it is fucking creepy.
Okay, is it found footage?
No.
Okay, good.
No, it's a straight up film, and I remember it not being very well received, but it's a very, you can find it on what the hell was it on? It's on Prime, Tubi TV, or Netflix. I think you can find it on one of those because I stumbled across it. I have a copy on DVD, but yeah, very underrated film.
Altered.
It's called Altered. And it's got the cast is really good, but it's basically guy's brother was abducted. They were out on a camping trip type thing. And then the aliens come back.
They always do.
And he's trying to catch them. And he manages to catch one, and shit gets bad. So,
nice.
Yeah, it's really good. I enjoyed it. I'll show you the DVD when we're all done wrapping stuff up. But actually, we're getting to that time where we're going to have to start wrapping stuff up. So
oh, yeah.
It goes by quick, man.
Sure does.
So anything you want to talk about before we wrap it up? You got any projects lined up for when you head back, or you just?
Yeah, I got a couple of projects I'm going to start doing some day playing PA gigs on. Hopefully, I'm directing a music video parody when I get back, like the next day after getting back.
Oh, cool.
We're shooting overnight in Big Bear Lake. It's like near Joshua Tree and stuff like that. So people go there to camp all the time. But it's a parody music video. It'll be pretty fun. Then I'm still working on my book. That'll be a while before I have anything like written tangibly that's available. My goal was my birthday in June, end of June, to have it done, but it might be the end of the year, just make it more realistic. And my blog's always going, guyonawire.com. I post the first draft of that cancer story there, but also talk about movies and stuff. Lately, not as much, but I plan on doing more.
Yeah. I know how that goes. Ebbs and flows. My .com doesn't get hardly anywhere near enough attention. I just I keep telling myself I need to put more time into it and keep it a little more up to date instead of like once every 3 months I go on and update things and just because it's more of a central hub for everything than it is my daily use thing. But so anyway, if you want to support Average Joe's Drive-In, and I love talking to everybody, and the show is continuing to grow, which I am so thankful for, that everybody seems to be digging the show and it keeps growing. And if you want to chat with me, I'm pretty personable, unless you're an asshole, and then I'll tell you you're an asshole. Hit me up, Thomas Washburn Jr. on Instagram, TWJ Author on the Twitter. Or you can hit up Average Joe's Drive-In Podcast on Facebook. You can also go to thomaswashburnjr.com, and that's kind of the hub, and you can kind of find your way to all my media sites. But I also have a lot of links on there to different people I'm friends with, authors and musicians and directors and all the different people I've met and become friends with, and just people I think that are cool that I enjoy, and I have links on there to that stuff. And go, like I said, buy the books on Amazon. And also, I want to thank my sponsors, the Maine Cannababes, for being awesome. They just announced their lineup for their 2019 calendar. I don't think they have announced the beneficiary for the calendar yet, but I'm sure that will be coming soon as they find out more, somebody that's a worthy cause for them to work, raising money for. Again, there's all kinds of interesting, information about laws and resources if you want to get your medical card, and different, resources about what cannabis is good for treating different ailments, and just it's a plethora of information. So, see what I did there? Call back. MaineCannababes.com.
There are myriad links on my website.
Yes. So make sure you go check out Jamie on GuyOnAWire.com, and we'll keep, I'll keep you guys updated, and I'm sure Jamie will keep us updated. And can they follow you on any social media, like the Facebook or the Instagram?
The Facebook or the...
I'm talking like my grandpa,
Yeah.
The Facebook or Instagram or the Twitter.
I'm pretty lucky to have good SEO. Guy on a Wire is my Facebook, my Instagram, my Twitter, my website. So that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Just like Man on a Wire, Guy on a Wire. And all one word, and that's it.
All right, man. Well, hey, thank you for stopping in on your journey back to Maine here this week. And enjoy the rest of your trip and have a safe flight back. And I just want to leave you kids with this word of advice. Remember, kids, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one, and I will see you sexy animals on the flip side.
It's intermission. Rise and stretch time. Time to refresh yourself and visit our snack bar. Got a yen for hot popcorn? Your favorite soft drinks are sparkling cold.
The juicy Frank sizzling hot. There's delicious coffee, freshly brewed, and all kinds of ice cream and candy to tempt you. Showtime will be announced loud and clear to get you back to your car in time. So stretch your legs. Come to the snack bar now.